All right. Can you hear me fine? Good. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming and making it here. It looks like everyone survived last night. I was worried because I thought no one's going to turn up. It's such a great party and a lot of drinking and some swimming as well, I noticed. So that was good. And so welcome to the session. I'm going to keep this session quite interactive. There will be another 15 minutes towards the end for your questions, and I will be available afterwards as well to answer your questions too. So today, I mean, you've seen several sessions on social. You've seen some really cool stuff by other companies, by Microsoft. You saw the promises on Yammer and how it's going to be integrated with Office 365 and so on. So what we're going to go through today is essentially how we built our enterprise social networking at eBay, some of the problems that we had, how did we go about rectifying them, and so on and so forth. So we will also talk about, so there's going to be a social vote. So what that means is that if you could get your iPhones or Windows phones or any of your phones, just ready. It doesn't matter. It could be just one of the old ones. All you have to do is you have to text your vote to a number, and then we will go through to see how we did in terms of the question that was answered. Okay, and then we're going to go through, dropping the microphone. Hold on. Put it here, I think. Technical problem. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Just put it there. Okay. Thanks. Fine, I think. All right, where were we? All right, then we're going to talk about getting to know your intranet, and then we'll go through some of the use cases that we had, so this basically, and then how our voyage or our journey started. We're going to talk about Yammer, and there's going to be demos. So quick note on demos, there have been some intermittent connection problems that I think we've all seen. So if the demos don't work, I've got some screenshots that I'm going to take you through, but hopefully they will work. All right. So the social vote. What this is here, basically, I think a lot of our colleagues have seen multiple social networks at work. And I know some people have got NewsGator. I know some people have got Yammer. Some others have Chatter, and it goes on. The question is, well, why not having multiple social networks, right? Maybe we should. Maybe we should have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or whatever. But the question I'm asking you guys here is that, do you think having multiple social networks at work will be confusing? So, very simply, if you think that having multiple social networks at work is confusing, basically you need to send your text to 22333. That's the number you send your text to. If you agree, basically go for 433229, and if you disagree, it would be 433241. I know it's a bit complicated. It would be nice if it was just 1 and 2, but this is a free service, so. All right, so I'm going to stay on this for about a minute so you can cast your votes, but then we will come back to it later on. So just to give you some context, so even if you're on Yammer, which I think that's the way Microsoft's going, and it's going to be integrated, so again, you could end up with multiple social networks there, because on Yammer, we have the PayPal network, we have the eBay network, we have a StubHub, BML, Bill Me Later, and it goes on. So do you think all those networks should be merged? And even if they're merged, what would be the problem in terms of maybe losing some of your existing conversations and so on? So I'm not talking about just different tools. I'm talking about having maybe Yammer, NewsGator, and so on, or maybe multiple networks on the same tool, if you like. Okay, and let's see how we're doing. All right, so about 78% believe that it is confusing. Well, there's not going to be a winner here, but let's stay for another 30 seconds. And then we'll probably ask those people who didn't think it was confusing and why. Maybe they have something at the network. Maybe they have multiple networks, and they've done something that they don't think is confusing. We'll come back to this slide later on. All right, so some acronyms here. Our intranet's called the Hub. So every time I say the Hub, that's the name of our intranet. And enterprise social networking is such a mouthful, so I'm just going to refer to it as ESN. I think the very first step in your social journey is to really understand your intranet. What is it that your company is trying to do? What is your mission statement? That should be, I think, the first question that you should be asking yourself. So this is our mission statement, right? I'll let you read it for a second. So this comes from our corporate communication, and that's basically the definition of our intranet. So what you need to think about here is that, do you have one intranet? Or do you have multiple instances of your intranet? Do you have many intranets? Do you have lots of portals? Do you have different business units actually using different portals? So these are the things you need to think about and start asking the questions quite earlier on. And then start getting some statistics together on your intranet, see how it's being used, how heavily it's being used, what are the modules that are most used. For instance, the homepage of our intranet is hit 110,000 times on a daily basis. We have over 15,000 collaboration sites, and the activity on that is huge. So you see the user profiles, 30,000 times a day on average, so that's pretty high. The people search, 11,500 and so on. So getting to know these numbers will help you build a good social network, and I'm going to show you how and how we actually went about that. Also, find out how your intranet is used by regions, right? So this is how it's used at eBay. Of course, America's has got the highest number, but then again, so there are less. So you need to probably get average out or maybe use medians, because in America, of course, there are more people, so there's going to be used more. But on average, I think maybe I should have added that slide here. Who are the most engaged, people or business units within your intranet? So this is some of our business units, and you can see PayPalians are very active in using our intranet and the social tools, which is great. And then eBay is next, and so on. Simple statistics, but it will help you. And by browser. So let me ask this question of the crowd. How many people in this room have actually, how many different browsers are you allowed to use at work? Do you all use Internet Explorer, or do you use multiple browsers? All right, so how many people use Chrome on Mac? Okay, so it's about a good 10%. And so you actually use Chrome on SharePoint. And how many of you have actually had problems with using Chrome on your SharePoint environment? Okay. So the reason we are asking these questions is that, well, you can build the best, most beautiful social network, and then your people are trying to get in and having a look. Well, guess what? The scroll bars are not working, right? Because that's the problem with Chrome on Mac if you use, go on SharePoint sites, which, in fact, one of my team members, Martin Sundman, did a great job of actually fixing the code, and it actually works for us, but it was a bit of a challenge. All right, and then it comes to use cases. I think what I've seen even here at the conference is that the very first thing people ask is, okay, what tool am I going to use? Am I going to use Yammer, NewsGator, Chatter? I'm just going to go with what's built in SP13. I don't know if it's still referred to as Office Talk, but it looks like Office Talk. So I think that should not be your first question. The first question should be, why are you even doing this? Why do you think you should be using social? And what does that mean? What does social mean at work? How is it going to help you? So I'm just going to go through some of our use cases that we had in the very beginning. We ended up with 42, the meaning of life, huh? That was a complete fluke, but we did get 42 main use cases. And understand your business drivers, right? So these were the business drivers for us. Click. I know it's a lot of text, but spend some time reading them. So this is probably the most important stage of your journey. What we did, we created a simple product backlog using a SharePoint list. Very simple, keep it simple, and ask your people to put their social use cases in there. Anyone in your company. Just reach out to people and actually find out what their use cases are. And then theme them up later on. Is it just connecting to leaders? Is it connecting to each other? Is it like departmental? Is it company-wide? Is it team-based? You will see a trend for your company. For each company, it's going to be different, right? For instance, in our company, we have brilliant technologists, and every single one of them wants to use a different tool. So we didn't ask the questions in the beginning, so what tool should we use? Because we have some people who are actually building homegrown social networks at PayPal, because they're just very good at developing tools, and they like doing that. So that's not the first question. It should be the use cases. Now, and also, if you could ask this question as a strategist, that who are the 5 people that you go to get your questions answered? That would be question number 1. For instance, my one was like, well, first of all, every time I'm stuck, I go to David. He's my manager. I'm like, David, I'm stuck. You need to help me out. He usually does most of the times. And if he doesn't, then I go and find out, through somebody else. But how do you get your work done? And who are the 5 people that come to you to get your work done, to get their work done with their questions, right? So these are the type of questions you can actually ask there too. Okay, so the social strategy. I think it was Sandy Carter from IBM that said, culture eats strategy for lunch. So I think you can have the best strategy for your social networking, but if you don't understand the culture of your company, it's really not going to work out. So you should start with the culture. All right, so here, our strategy, based on what our CIO keeps telling us, is from the technical perspective, it needs to work with any device, any browser, and multiple social networks, and any OS. So this is our, if you like, strategy for enterprise social networking. And what we have been trying to do is to actually have a central place, which we had it. We have our beloved hub, our intranet, and then if you have a surge on other social networks, try to integrate them through. So the key is integrate if you can. If you cannot, aggregate. So what I mean by that is that, so I use Yammer all the time. But I know there are 3,000 people on Salesforce that use Chatter. They're not going to leave that. So as a strategist, or as an employee even, there might be some conversations over there that are pertinent to me. I want to know about them. So how do you go about that? So we do have an example on that and how we use social search to go across different social networks and getting the answers back. So I know some companies have integrated with LinkedIn. We are looking into that as well because we believe that's the place where people do their best job in filling out information about themselves, whether it's their past projects, the skills, and so on. So why not bring LinkedIn to your user profile, right? Pretty simple. All you have to do is just sync them up, make sure the user profiles on SharePoint and LinkedIn are kind of matched. But remember that people need to opt in, so be careful with that. Put an opt-in page for them to make sure that you're complied, with your legal compliance and so on. Okay, and then I think the next step in your journey should be, how are you going to partner with different people in your organizations? You're not going to be, if you're from corporate communications or if you're from IT, you will not be able to do this on your own. You can try it, but it's going to be really, really hard. You do need the backing of corporate communications, internal communications. You need their help along your journey. At the same time, so we are in this quadrant. Our group's called the Global Enterprise Technology, but as you can see, we do have a good partnership with our corporate communications. But perhaps around the organizational effectiveness, we could be a bit stronger. So what does that mean? It's basically where you go to people, and I call it real-to-life scenarios. You ask them how the tool can help them. Because a lot of people ask them, well, what's in it for me? Why should I do this? So you can actually build a site, add your social tools to it, add video, and everything else that you have for your content management, document management, and knowledge engineering. Build something for them in a matter of minutes, and then show them how it can actually help them. One thing that I keep going to different groups and showing them, and they really like it, is topical conversations. So a lot of times, different groups have conversations, and then it's lost, right? So just show them how to simply use hashtags, and how to go about finding it out later on and surface it on search. You'll be surprised how many people don't know how to use hashtags still. And learning and development. Of course, training is a big part. You need to have maybe some quick brown bag sessions and so on for people to come by and just play with the tools. Okay, so what should be your playbook? So these were the steps that we took in our journey to put a social network together. Like I said, we started with our use cases. We went through discovery. In other words, we actually just did a small pilot of people and tried the tool and asked them what they felt. And just remember that keep your product backlog alive at all times. So these are basically the 8 steps that you take. On the left-hand side, this is what we did at eBay, and we continue to do them. And it's iterative, so you have to go through it. It doesn't really end, because even if you get to the step number 8, well, driving adoption it's a lot of work. And then you might need help from Microsoft. So Microsoft were great to help us last year. We had a program called Scrub the Hub. So we encourage people to use their user profiles, and we just ran some contests, small contests, and rewarded people. So our user profile from 2,000 just surged to up to 5,000 or 6,000. We just asked them to put simple things like in their Ask Me About section, what they're good at. Just put their expertise in. So that would help them find expertise use case. And we found out that our approach was very similar to IBM's. This is what IBM do on the right-hand side, which is probably a very good model and very similar to what we did. All right. And then I think you're going to be set in your social journey or voyage. Okay, that music was supposed to stop. It didn't. So sorry about that. It's not that I like it so much, and I'm not French, by the way, but I like that song. All right, so we did all of those things. We did the use cases, and we did our pilots and so on. We used different tools, and there it was, the rise of Yammer. So what we noticed was that we were having lots of people on the PayPal network and the eBay network on Yammer, and people just started it up. It started kind of organically. There were some evangelists that got together on the PayPal side of things and built groups and so on. So it was just rising. We thought, well, what are we going to do now? So we have multiple networks again. We got multiple groups and a large surge on Yammer. So again, the key is, I don't think you should panic, to be honest, because that's going to happen. If it's not Yammer, it's probably a different tool. I know there was Ning, there's of course Chatter and so on. I keep mentioning. Again, the key is just to, if you get that use case in your company, is to try to integrate those networks using simple techniques, and if you cannot, try to aggregate the content, so show it to people what's going on. So this is some of the statistics, again, that you need to get probably on weekly basis or monthly on Yammer. So you can see that we are extremely busy. If you like, for just on a simple group, there were like 209 likes. This is this kind of weekly, and the number of messages posted. So these statistics will keep you monitor the activities and so on. And if you feel that it's not being used as often as you think, maybe you should think about incentivizing the users again. Okay, so I guess we've got, what, 9,500 people on Yammer, so I guess we're all set, right? So what is the problem? I think the problem is that if you keep using, so what we've done with Yammer is we've simply, with the Yammer web parts on SharePoint, which I'm going to show you in a minute, we've connected people on their team sites to Yammer. Our leaders are kind of getting connected to the people, which I'm going to show you that too. So it's all good, but then again, we do have some people on various networks that they're not even on Yammer yet. So the key is that you kind of invite them into the Yammer network, and you can actually make the networks talk to one another too. So it is possible to get all the activity streams from Yammer into Chatter and vice versa. You can do the same thing with NewsGator if you have NewsGator in your organization. Okay, so what is the next wave of social? For us, the next wave, so I showed you the wave, the funny boat and so on, but the next wave really for us, I think what we realized that going through all these use cases was that we've got different use cases based on your enterprise, your department, leaders and employees, and I think the next one is really going to be the systems. So the systems will start talking. We call that contextualized enterprise social networking, which means that you do something in one system. Say, for instance, you create, I don't know, maybe you create a bug in Team Foundation server, and nobody knows about that bug. Well, how do you go about surfacing that? So I'm going to show you how that happens with a tool called Jira, that you go ahead and submit, you create an issue in Jira, and then it appears in your Yammer activity stream. The same things can happen to your CRM system, or anything that. So it's not just about following documents; it's about the systematic ESN as well. That's what I think is going to be the next wave of social. Okay, so hopefully let me see. I'm going to start with demo 2, and I apologize if this doesn't work. I'm going to blame the internet. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is a tool called ScrumPal. Oh, sorry, thank you. So what this is about, this is a portal for our PayPalians to actually do their product development. What we've realized is that we've got over 3,000 developers that use a lot of DLs. The conversations are getting lost. Like I said, they're doing different things in different systems, and they don't know about one another. So this is like a one-stop shop that we've built on SharePoint. And with the Yammer activity stream on the right-hand side, so at any point in time, if you're a product developer, if you're actually a developer, or if you could be simply a manager or a project manager, everything is under the same roof. You can find out about your alerts and notifications. So this, the one on the left-hand side at the bottom, this actually comes from a simple SharePoint list. So if my boss assigns a task to me, I will see it there. At the same time, if there are some conversations going on within my group, they will appear over there on the right-hand side within Yammer. These are the projects. So this is the Metro style look and feel, if you like, of the recently completed projects. These are some of the projects that I'm actually working on right now. If I hover over it, I can actually so I can see the sprints that I'm on, the velocity, and so on. And I can actually make a comment here about that particular project. Again, the same kind of style here, as you can see. But one thing I keep going on about is this conversation is getting lost all the time. Very simply, you could have, again, if I'm a developer, I could have a question. I can ask one of my experts. So I go ahead and send this to, oh, there he is, Martin. So ask me a simple question about how do you build, I don't know, event handlers. So the key here is, which I forgot, is to do a hashtag event handlers in Java, or maybe in .NET. He's actually a .NET developer. All right, so I'm gonna send that. So Martin Sundman on my team, he's a SharePoint architect actually, and so he will probably reply to this, I hope, almost immediately. But even if it doesn't, this has now become a topical conversation. So there's a corner for that. And if there are other people that have the exact same question, they can see it, right? So this way, you built a portal with some repeated questions. And what we did was that out of some of these hashtags, we built communities. We noticed that there are some people that, for instance, the word Scrum, my favorite methodology, I noticed every time I asked a question about Scrum, a lot of people were answering. So we went and built a simple Scrum community. So then now you have a community of subject matter experts about Scrum. So let's see. I think there's a reply here. Let me see. Here you go. He's not in the room, by the way. This is not a trick. All right. So thank you, Martin. And he's yeah, good. So hash Visual Studio. So I found out the answer to my question, and the question is Visual Studio. Great. Now you might use, we talked about multiple tools, right? So this is a section, I'm going to apologize if it doesn't work. Just forgive me. And I blame it on the internet as well. Okay, so on the left-hand side, these are the tools that most of our developers and product managers use. How many people use Jira or know what Jira is? Oh, wow. Okay. So we use Jira for bug tracking and also creating issues at PayPal within the Scrum team. So I'm going to click on this. Come on. Okay, that wasn't the message I was after. Let me see if I can. Bear with me. Try to log in here. Let me see. We'll come back to that. But I will demo that to you. So basically, what I was going to do is going to create an issue in Jira, and then you would see it in the activity stream in Yammer. And it's bidirectional. You can actually create an issue from Yammer and send it to Jira, both ways. I will try to set it up in a second, and you will see how that works. So don't forget portals. What I'm trying to say is so this is about systems and how you put together a one-stop shop. You empower it with social networking, but at the same time use very simple techniques of content management, aggregation, and workflows, all under the same roof. I don't think social alone would help, would prevail all your needs at work, of course. But if you put it all together, I think it would be very, very helpful. Okay. So this was the plan B, just in case it didn't work. This is my screenshot. Okay, so now you've done all of this. You've done a great job. You've created all the portals, but don't forget adoption. And so in this section, I'm going to show you some of the things we did with adoption and what techniques we use. So I think building killer apps is key. You've seen so many different killer apps in this conference, and honestly, I was very surprised, some of them pleasantly surprised, of course. But some of the things we did was we enhanced our user profiles. The user profiles at eBay, like I showed you, are used about 30,000 times a day. And it's mostly people looking for other people. They type in Ramin. There's 3 or 4 people called Ramin in the company. And they go to the user profile to see what they're about, their expertise, and so on. Whom they report to. You've seen the organizational browser. It's a very good tool. Social search, which I'm going to show you, the blog. So honestly, with SharePoint 2010, you can blog from anywhere. You can start a blog from your My site. You can start a blog from your team site. But these blogs are not in a central location. So what we are trying to do, we haven't done this yet. We want to actually create one central location for all the blogs. Our leaders' blogs, your blogs, blog of the week, blog of the month, and then remember to call Microsoft and say, help us with some tools and with some prizes to incentivize people. See Stu shaking his head. Thank you. Yeah. and again, the other thing which will help your adoption with social is video. So what we have a video tool called Hub TV. So we allow our end users to take videos of themselves or whatever of the sessions, and then go ahead and submit that into the Hub TV environment. It gets streamed. It's nice and lightweight. Then you can come back to SharePoint and then have a simple web part and just connect your video to your team site, and that becomes a very attractive option for people. That really helps. The next one was Outlook Goes Social. So this is one of the things we're looking into. I don't think email is going to go anywhere anytime soon. So you should bring social to your Outlook. I've seen a couple of tools here in the company that actually does that. You can write your own tool, but you can actually go to your SharePoint sites directly from Outlook. So what that does is that people get to see what they need to do, their tasks. Again, it's like a little portal. So they see the tasks and their emails and all the activities and activity streams in their sites. And build some of these killer apps that you can build. We have innovation is very big at eBay. So we had a session recently. We called it Hackathon. So we have people for 30 hours go in and just don't do anything else. Just think about new ideas, what they can do. One of the winners last time was a Cafe Bay. So what that is that you can actually order food from your desk and go and pick it up from your cafeteria, right? So, and then again, you can do that from your team sites, and simply your food's ready, and it's like a social activity as well. So it actually does help adoption. The word incentivize, you see that all the time, and real-to-life scenarios. I think you need to go to different people. Hopefully you have the manpower for that, to actually go to various people in your company to say, look, this is what this can do for you. This is how good social is and how powerful it can be. Otherwise, they're not going to do it. They're just going to, so I always say there are three sets of people in any organization. I think the first ones are like people who really embrace technology, and the second ones are that they're kind of not sure, you know, they're like settlers. You know, they may or may not. And there's the third type that's the stay behind. Don't start your journey with them. Start your journey with those who embrace it or are ready to convert. Okay, so next demo, which will hopefully work, is the social search, which I talked about. So bear with me. Okay. So this is the site. Oh, great picture there. There you go. So what I'm showing you here, this is actually our, we call it SP Talk. This is our team site. This is what we've built for ourselves. You see the member of my team here. You see some of the simple, useful links that we put together. That's trying to figure out what it is doing. And then, of course, we have the Yammer web part here that is actually connected. So I think this was Heather last night. Thanks for that. Great picture. Took a picture there. So simply I can just, again, I'm sure you've seen this. I'm not going to show too much of this. I can like it and reply to it and, you know, the usual things. And 56 minutes ago from SharePoint. So it actually came from SharePoint, so that's good. So I know somebody didn't actually go to yammer.com to do this. But the point of this demo is this, social search. So everyone has said, so we use FAST in our search, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But how do you search the topics from your intranet directly, right? How do you search for anything in your social networks from your intranet? So again, I'm going to use a Scrum for this search and see what I get back. With my fingers crossed that it's going to work. I've got a screenshot ready, but let's see. Oh, looks like it worked. Okay, so this is quite familiar. You've seen this before, right? Okay. So how many of you actually use FAST right now for your search in your enterprise? Great. Okay, so this should be quite familiar to you. I searched Scrum, but have a look at this screen. And talking about building killer apps, this was so simple to build. It took not the whole search, but the actual search results for the social search took 10 minutes. And I can show you later on how we did it. If you want to come by, I'll show you the web part. It wasn't rocket science at all. Quite simple. But what you see here, so what we've got in the middle is like the kind of paid advertising. We call them best bets. So we highlight them. So that's the most looked at content that you see in the middle highlighted. On the right-hand side, like I mentioned, you see these people. I know these guys are actual Scrum masters, very good at Scrum. And then on the left is what we've done with search and MMS. How many people here actually use MMS? Great. Well, that's like good, maybe 5-6%. You could do wonderful things with MMS. One of the things we did was that a lot of people were coming to me and saying, hey, the search is not working, or it's not relevant, or what you can do simply is like, okay, if you're from the US, you can just show the US results to people first. And that's not hard to do. Or if you're from, if your business unit is, say, PayPal, well, why not show the content that's related to PayPalians first? It's a simple algorithm that you can do. If not, you can tie the search into your filters on the left-hand side. So, for instance, you see, so we've got the usual result types. I'm talking about what's on the left-hand side, the author and so on. But we talked about, so the eBay geolocation. So I'm just interested maybe in the Scrum in China, so I can click on that. Or I can go by maybe different organizations and so on. But going back to the social search, you see here I typed in Scrum, so it brought back every single conversation that has been had about Scrum on your social network. This is the time that usually people clap. I know you're sleepy, I am too, but But no, so as you can see, this, again, I keep going on about topical conversations and how important they are. For instance, look, somebody's done a great job of putting a simple diagram there together, so I can just go and find out what these people are talking about. Very simple. Okay. So let me go back to the previous demo, if I can, and try to bring it back up.
Are you taking questions only at the end?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, maybe you can start with the questions now. If you have questions, we can start it now, and then I'll try to fix. Yeah, that would be great, yeah. Where is the... You can find it. Do you have account for Jira? You can...
I have your information.
Okay, good. Go ahead, yeah. Would you like to come to the microphone and ask a question?
Do you have organized a librarian in your company to manage the service nodes that you use?
Oh, I see. So the question was that, do you have someone that is totally dedicated to the MMS? You mean to the, yeah. We don't, but we do have admins on our team that actually take care of that. And if there are new terms coming to the term store, we add them. But for the best bets, we actually have a system whereby people can submit the search best bets and the URLs, and we have it compiled, and the team that Paul Joseph from operations actually runs will go ahead and add that to the back-end system. So for instance, if you have an invoice approval, maybe a new invoice approval system that you put together, you want your people, if they type in invoice approval, the first thing that shows is this new tool. So basically, you just go to this area, you put it in, and his team will receive it and just add it to the back end. Yes? Sorry.
Why social search? How do you know that somebody's, how can you be sure that the user wants to find something that's in the social universe? Maybe it's something else for the internet. So why not just have one internet search that includes content from social repositories as well as other internet content?
That is what we've done. It's just we've added a separate web part for the social search. If I understand your question correctly.
So when I go to that social search page and I do a search, I'm searching your entire internet. Okay, got it.
That's right, yeah. And so we do have, I'll come back to you in a second, but we do have some other instances of our intranets, mini intranets as well. So one thing we're working to do using FAST, and perhaps we can do this in, hopefully in the new version of SharePoint, is to bring all those content from the other areas in your, if you like, mini intranets to your main corporate intranet as well. Yes?
I had a question on profiles. We're using kind of a bit as well, but do you do anything to bring into profiles some tacit knowledge about what people do and they don't declare they do?
I'm not sure I understand.
Tacit knowledge meaning you might have somebody that's actually very active in Scrum, but they never wrote it in their profile. So do you analyze the feed to extract that information and propose people to add that information in the profile?
No, but that's a great technique. No, we're not doing that, but I'll make some notes. Oh, cool, thanks. All right, so, and do we have the screen for the... Okay. So I can just switch between the two. Sorry, I'll get back to that question in 1 second. Hold on to that thought. Don't forget your question. I'll get back to it, because I do want to show this demo of the contextualized social networking. Thanks, Martin. So Martin is the the brain behind this as well. We had this idea about connecting social to tools and so on. So Martin Sandman actually wrote the piece to get it together. So great work from Martin as usual. So like I said, I'm in Jira on the right-hand side, and I'm simply creating an issue.
I already filled it up for you.
Oh, thank you. So let me maximize that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and create this. So this is a simple bug, I put together. And you see it in the Scrum area. In the Jira area, there is an activity stream that says Java alerts say don't work when you refresh the page and so on. Okay, so it appears here, and it's all based on reverse date order. Now, if you go to the Scrum pal side, I'm sorry, let's maximize this as well. Do I need to refresh?
You need to go to the top.
Oh, there you go.
Click to see one new message.
So this is showing the team. So did you see that? So I created the issue in Jira, and it shows in Yammer activity stream. Cool, huh? Thank you. So I know actually Yammer, I was talking to David Sachs the other day. I know they're working on some bits on this, so you may not have to kind of write the code yourself to do this. Again, it's quite simple to do. Well, once it's done, it's quite simple. Martin thinks it's very simple to do. So, but you could wait for Yammer to do this because they have plans to get systems connected to social and vice versa. But I don't think they were thinking of bidirectional. So we can do the same thing with Team Foundation Server. I don't think we will have time for that. But again, the same thing. If you have a piece of code that you're checking in Team Foundation Server, maybe you want to surface to other developers, team leaders, and so on, how that was done, and what are the ins and outs of it. All right. So, any more questions?
You should mention that it's all running SharePoint 2010 and it's already ported to 2015.
Oh, yeah, so the one thing I forgot to mention was that this is done in SharePoint 2010, this portal that you see here. But we have actually ported it to the SP13 too. So if you want to see that demo live in the new version of SharePoint, you can just let me know and I'll send you the email and you go ahead and play around with it. All right, questions? I think somebody, go ahead.
How are you all, maybe this is a security question, how are you managing the log into all these other applications? For instance, the feed from Twitter and the feed from Europe, does all have to be to like a single sign-on?
All right, so I've got Martin. Martin, you can go ahead and maybe repeat the question and then answer it.
Sure. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just wondering how you manage the authentication to Yammer and Jira from your global page. Is that all managed in like a single sign-on kind of thing?
Yeah, we're using OAuth 2.0 for all of it, which all Yammer applications support natively. So what happens is, for the Jira side, we have an administrative account that goes ahead and sends data to, or receives data from Yammer. But then for users, they have to go and opt into it to authorize it to post on their behalf. Team Foundation Server, it's done again through an administrative account and it blasts to everybody.
Yep.
When you integrated Yammer into the team site, do you still find people just using the team site with Yammer there integrated, or do you still find people jumping into Yammer itself and going back and forth?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the question is, so once you've put these web parts into your team sites, do you find there's more traffic through SharePoint, or do people actually go on Yammer and post over there? The answer is actually they do it through their team sites. I think it's easier for them. The intranet is there, it's like in your face. And that's if you use a team site day in and out, you're going to see it there. And that has actually helped our adoption, and the usage has gone up. But what you can do in Yammer simply, there's under the admin section, there's a section which shows how people are using Yammer. And our statistics show that it's kind of a 50-50 right now from SharePoint and directly on Yammer itself, and whether they use their phones to get there. So you can actually see that on Yammer. All those statistics are available. Yes?
Are there methods for capturing and storing data for like discovery purposes?
Are there methods for capturing data for discovery purposes?
All the back and forth on Yammer.
Yes. You can. Are you currently using Yammer in your organization? All right, I can actually show you break time, which area you can actually see. You can get those analytics as well.
So you can store it locally.
Yeah, it's possible. You can export it. Yeah. Yeah.
One more question.
Sure.
Is there any way to link the hashtag resolution to like a tag store in SharePoint?
Oh, that was one of my questions as well.
Yes, it is.
Well, the answer is yes, but we haven't done it. But it is doable, yes. So I think, the question is, so this was my question as well, and I did ask one of the Microsoft experts, and the question is, how do you get, if you're using SP13 and the wonderful social tool that's out of the box, right, how do you marry it up, if you like, with Yammer? So you're going to end up having hashtags in SharePoint, you're going to have hashtags in Yammer, you're going to have a user profile set up in Yammer, you're going to have a user profile in SharePoint. I think using Forefront, there are plans to migrate or import information from different social tools into SharePoint 13. That was the answer they gave me, and I think that would be great. But right now, it's not there. So you still end up with this multiple social networks, if you like, that we keep talking about.
Yeah, I work for a software company. Everybody likes to spell out products differently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you can see the tag store maker, it's messy, everyone's creating their own style.
Right. So maybe I should have waited and asked the question towards the end, but I wasn't sure if everybody was going to vote. But really, do you still think that having multiple social networks really confusing at work? And do you think there are ways, some of the things I showed you can actually help you achieve the integration of social networks? So maybe by the way of showing hands, how many people think still it's confusing to have multiple social networks at work? See, it's gone down. So that's what I want to see. So definitely it's not 78% now, but it is doable and it is possible to do. It just takes some work. All right. Any more questions? Yep. You can actually connect Jira and TFS. Is that yeah? Yeah, no, we mostly use TFS, but there are groups on the PayPal side that use Jira, so we try to remain device agnostic, like I mentioned, but it is possible. I'm sorry? Yes. Yep, we do. So for sprint planning and so on, our PayPal team use Rally, and do have the same demo with Rally and Yammer, bi-directional enterprise social networking there too. So you can actually do it with Rally too. It's a bit more challenging than Jira though.
Let's touch on mobility access. What's your pattern there for the users? How many go through with their mobile tablets, and how do you solve the authentication?
So the question is, on the mobile usage, how did you resolve the authentication problem? So currently, you can use the Yammer app as it is, but we're looking at, into building various sites that are mobile enabled. So you could invest a lot on that, but guess what? So in SharePoint 13, you're going to get it out of the box, so you could save some money there. But so the single sign, so with Yammer, you can do two things. There's single sign-on, and there's the Active Directory sync that you do with the organization. So once you have the single sign-on in place, you can still use the phone app, if you like, iPhone or Windows Phone, to use it, and then basically you just log in your own credentials, rather than your email and username, separate email and username on Yammer. Yeah. Any more questions? Great. I will be available. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
What do you consider the most important web analytics in your hub in terms of what you achieve, what the goals are?
So the question is, what is the most important web analytics that you have on the hub? I think in terms of usage, I will look at the expertise search. For me, that's huge. That means like people are looking for one another to get help. And then, of course, the people search. But in terms of the social analytics, if you like, I think comments, finding out how many people commented on different topics, and also what are the top 10 most viewed topics as well. So those are the things that you can actually set up and see good analytics on it. You're welcome. Yep.
Was there any company culture challenges?
So the question is, was there any company culture challenges? So the answer is yes. We had huge challenges. So within eBay, we are device agnostic. So we essentially allowed the usage of MacBook Pros. Some people have iPads. Like I mentioned, the scenario of Chrome on Mac and all of that. So, but our strategy is, like I showed, any device, anytime, any place, anywhere, and any OS. So the challenges are there, but we worked very diligently to resolve them. Not all of them are resolved still. So for instance, we do have some single sign-on issues between when you go from, when you use Mac, if you like, on our intranet. We have 5 web applications on our intranet. So if you're going from one area to another, you get the annoying logon prompts. And I think some of you may have seen that. So that's a big challenge, and the reason for that is people use the non-IE browsers. But we've actually put some code through, and by the end of the year, we're going to resolve that issue as well.
Related to culture, have you been intentional about moving people away from an email culture to use more of these social tools?
Yes. So on the ScrumPal demo that I showed you, what people were doing, and we realized this was really hurting us, was everybody was using DLs. We realized there are more DLs than the number of employees in the company. It's true. And then by introducing of this new tool, you will see that there will be a huge reduction of emails. We had average developers receiving up to 250 emails a day, product developers, product managers up to 500, and those numbers will be coming down. I don't really think there is I don't know, I think social will bring the number of emails down, but the thing is, we use email all the time. So if my manager wants to gets me to do something, he will either create a task, right, in SharePoint, which, I actually see it in my Outlook, or will ask me directly. I don't think he's going to put it in the social network, say, hey, Ramin, can you, do this, get this done by the end of the day. He might, but right now, I think the culture is not there for me to just keep looking at it and say, what are the things that are being assigned to me? But use a portal, right? So with the portal notion, you saw how we brought social. So if my manager assigned a task to me, you can actually see it in there if I go back. Give me a second. I can see my tasks. Let me see. Okay. So you see down here, under my alerts and notifications, any of the tasks, whether it's SharePoint or other systems, will come there. This is like my universal inbox, right? So then I'm not going to look at my email much, right? So that will bring the number down for sure. This one? No, that's actually a SharePoint webpack. That takes the least, the interface with the router to the other time. Right. In terms of connection to the other. So it has different connections. Yeah.
The entire sector is built in 16 hours.
Yeah. Go ahead.
How do you measure the creation of these team sites with all of these web parts on it? Is it
Here, that's a great question. So this was to the rise of the Scrum Pal, if you like, was based on a specific business problem that we were trying to solve, and that was we were trying to get more agile, be more quick to market, maybe be the first one to market, and so on. So it's just to help the teams to develop and build code and build products quicker. So this is how it came to us. But like I said, in the real-to-life scenarios, if you like, I think you need to have the people, a set of people that actually go to your organization and see what problems they have. And then you can, excuse me, then you can come back with solutions like this, do a quick prototype, say, this might be helping you out. So what we did, in fact, we've built a complete prototype iPhone, Windows Phone version of this. Complete prototype, it's not real, but because it would take a long time to build the mobile app for just this particular thing, and maybe integrate it with Yammer. So we showed them that to the product managers, and they love it. So that would be the next step. So had we not shown them that prototype, what it could do for them, they would have never known.
So what I was getting at more is how do you communicate these types of tools to the non-IT or the non-development teams in the eBay, or if they're using it at all?
Oh, yeah.
Like communication to HR.
Oh, I see, yeah. So, like I said, the partnership with corporate communication is huge because they're very good at communication. That's what they do for a living. So I think once you build these killer apps, they can self-advertise themselves because they're good, but just use your corporate communications team to maybe put some notifications on the homepage of your intranet about, hey, check out this new tool, and the wonderful things that it does. So that way other people find out about it and may want the similar tool for themselves. All right? Go ahead. So the question is how many people in total we have, just related to Yammer or any other such? Right. So the entire, yes, we have 50,000, but this is a bit difficult to set because we have about 10,000 people on Yammer. So if you think we still have a journey to go up to 25, 30,000 and so on. So the plan what we have is that in around the May timeframe, we want to, if everyone who joins eBay will essentially be automatically getting a Yammer account as well. So that's our goal. I think it's probably a tough goal to have maybe the entire 50,000 people on Yammer by June. But right now it's just happening. So more and more people, they're getting invited, and the number, I think the growth rate is something like 5 to 10% a month. And so when you do the complete Active Directory sync, people will just use their own credentials to go there. And you don't need to really sign them up anymore. They will be automatically signed up. So that would be the, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the paid version of Yammer. I think we'll save some. I think the right. So Office 365 exactly is going to have Yammer as part of the product, but the on-premise version, I don't know if that's going to be free. The Microsoft people are shaking their heads, so no, that's not going to be free. But one thing you do want to go for, if you can make the investment, definitely go with the paid version of Yammer, because that way, if you don't have the Active Directory sync and if you don't have the single sign-on, then you can actually exit people very quickly. So that will rectify the issue of having people getting to your networks even if they've left the company. So you need to have somebody dedicated to that to remove people otherwise. Go ahead.
Are there any plans or pressure from Microsoft to move into the cloud or on-premise?
There's no pressure, but they do a great job advertising that we need to do that. It's the best thing we should do. And yes, that we do have plans to move to cloud. So I don't think we're going to move the entire, I think we're going to move the team sites. We start with the team sites and the collaborations section first, and then maybe with the publishing sites next. Right. This one? Right. So the answer is 3 people and 16 hours.
Not even the full 16 hours.
And not even the full 3. Yeah. Out of the box. The key is out of the box tools as much as you can. And then once you build something like this connection to Jira that we built, just build a web part out of it and then make it available for other teams so they can drag and drop it into your team sites. Yes?
How do you mix the social with the corporate information?
How do we make social with corporate information?
Corporate news, how do you transfer those?
Oh. Oh, I see what you're saying. So let me see if I can. So, right. So this is our search results page, if you like. So what we've done, you saw that I showed you the filters on the left-hand side. But what we also have, so you asked about news. If you want to see the news, we've created a tab here that the content source for it is just the news that are being published. And it also grabs the news from ebayinc.com and brings it over here. So all I have to do, I'm sorry, no, that's a separate tab. And if you just want to see the results from My HR, like you just mentioned, the HR section, you just click on My HR. So let's go and see on the news side if I still have my VPN connection. Not sure if I do. Oh, I do. Okay. So there was nothing on the news for Scrum, basically. If I put something like eBay, I'm sure there will be. All right? And then, so we had a request from our legal group that they wanted to see all the search that's pertinent to legal. So only the legal people would be able to see that legal tab that you see there. I'm an admin on the site, so I can see everything. So this is how you segregate the search for different business units.
He was referring more to publishing experience, publishing news.
Do you want to? Go ahead and answer it if you want.
So I think the purpose of the question was more about how to do publishing to social and to your traditional internet. So if you can go to the home page.
Hold on, I'm trying to get back to it.
Because we have different corporate networks for each of the different business units, a single post by corporate communications or HR can go to an entire business group. So if they post to the eBay network, it goes to absolutely everybody automatically. And then it's also on the home page.
Oh, you mean the homepage of the hub? I'm sorry. Okay, I thought you said the search.
And the experience on the home page is a little bit richer, and they have to tell it what image to use so that it looks nice and pretty because they're marketing people, they like to have it look pretty. So you can see it up at the top, and then they have more pictures down here, but at the end of the day, it gets posted to everything with pretty much no additional work other than telling it which image to use for this site. Sorry.
And the other thing, again, talking about killer apps, that will help your social journey, and I think any of your document or knowledge engineering journeys, that what we've done here is we've created something called Create New HubWorks site. So people don't have to come to us as admins to build them sites. They can actually go through the self-provisioning automated wizard answer some simple questions and build a new site. So that way, but again, so once that's done, then it becomes a question of training. So I went to Europe recently, and we did some training on how it works and collaboration and so on. It was so fruitful and so great. As they just didn't know some of the things they could do with SharePoint, just out of the box, right? Like I said, we put a video together for them on the Hub TV. We put the social on Yammer and so on. So you can just go through some simple questions here the end users will do. And then they can go. So remember the business units and everything that we talked about? They can actually ask there. Oops. What happened there?
The downside of being an admin and being able to see everything.
Right. So the end users don't see this. Anyway, I think I've killed it. So once they create a site, so they can, based on the business unit, they get different brandings as well. So this is the PayPal branding that they get on their team site. If I'm from the eBay Inc., I would get a different logo on top. But that way, so within a minute or so, they can actually have a site built for them.
And within that form, you might have seen the 3 MMS fields that we talked about earlier for search. So somebody can go ahead of time and say that this site that I'm making only relates to this location, this group, or this business unit. Instead of having to force people to put metadata all over the place, which nobody ever does.
So with the Yammer web parts, currently there are some limitations. For instance, if you want to see like your leader's corner on Yammer, and at the same time you want to connect to a group, so you can only have one web part per page. So that's something the Yammer team are working diligently. Maybe you want 2 Yammer web parts on the same page. Maybe you want the Yammer embed as well. So there are some challenges. But so the key would be, if you want to see the topical conversations, just create a new SharePoint page and then have the topical conversations on that particular page, because you can only have one web part currently. All right, this really brings us to the end of, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm available if you want to ask any questions. Thank you very much.